Premier of the province, David Eby, is speaking about these latest round of tariffs affecting the softwood lumber timber product industry in our country, 10% in addition to the tariffs already in place. Let's listen in to the Premier.
On workers, on communities, on the Canadian forest sector, by President Donald Trump, an additional 10% tariff on Canadian forest products. This additional tariff means that Canadian wood has a higher tariff rate going to the United States than Russia does. I want to let that sink in, that there's a higher tariff on Canadian wood going to the United States, wood that has built American homes, provided affordable and high-quality building materials for families and governments across the United States. Our friends south of the border with whom we have worked side by side, fought side by side, that we have worse market access than Russia, an international pariah who has launched a war of aggression on Ukraine. It doesn't make any sense. And this attack has serious consequences for Canadians and for British Columbians. When auto parts makers, when people who work to build those auto parts, when steel workers in Ontario, when their jobs are in trouble, when their jobs are threatened, it's treated as a national emergency, and rightly so. These are foundational industries for Ontario, for Canada. And I feel the urgency around those steel jobs as much as any Canadian. And what we're asking for today is that same respect, that same concern, that same sense of emergency is shared for the forest sector in this country. The contributions of the forest sector to the Canadian economy are massive. It provides a greater direct contribution to Canada's GDP than auto parts and steel. It provides more direct employment across the country than either of those sectors. And so with this additional threat that we are facing from the president, we know that it isn't just, another thing that Donald Trump is saying. This threat is a direct threat to the livelihood, to the existence of mills in every corner of British Columbia. And those mills provide jobs for families. They use the money they earn there to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, and in some cases, to support entire communities. It's an existential threat that the sector is facing because of an attack by the President of the United States. It's going to drive up costs for Americans and make life more challenging for them as well. We are calling on Ottawa to stand with us, all governments together, to ensure that they're deploying the more than $1 billion they've committed to the forest sector with urgency. There is no time to wait. Jobs and mills are on the line. And we are committed to continue to work with the sector to support workers who are facing curtailment, which means that their jobs aren't there. They're being put on hold. To support mills to avoid closure, to protect communities. And we'll do that in partnership with the federal government that treats this crisis that we're facing as the emergency to the national economy that it truly is. I want to reassure everybody out there whose family, whose community depends on these forest jobs. We will stand with you in Ottawa, in Washington, and right here at home in British Columbia. We'll make sure that we're doing everything we can to fight back against this unfair attack by the President of the United States and to ensure that you, your family, and your communities are supported. We've got to move our product to markets other than the United States. We've got to diversify and ensure that our forest sector remains strong for years and generations to come. A sustainable forest economy driving prosperity in every corner of British Columbia and every corner of Canada is an achievable goal for all of us. But we've got to stand together to do it. That's why I'm so proud that today we're gathering here with labor, with the workers, with the companies, with Indigenous leadership. And our goal is, with the federal government, to respond to this crisis as quickly as possible.